Hey everyone, Chief here. Today we're going to continue some work that we're doing with the new Mattermost CLI, and I'm going to start off tonight by working with commander.js and forking it and doing some changes to it so that it has some capabilities that I want out of it. What I'm also going to look into is publishing what's called a scoped NPM package, which will allow me to publish the package still as commander.js, but under a specific scope, so that I have my own, essentially my own private version of the commander.js NPM package, assuming that we're successful altering it how we want to. So okay, so since the last time you've joined me, I've done a little bit of work using the fixing the CLI. And what it looks like now, branch first. Okay, so here's what this looks like now. And so let me use Atom instead. It's probably gonna be a little easier for you guys to follow along with me in that. This should actually be deleted. And that one was extraneous. So I'm gonna open this, and I'll open this to start with. Okay, so this is my bin Matterfront file. So this is the one that's executable via the node shell. And what I have done is included commander. I've required in the package.json file, and I've also required in the module lib commands, which is here. And if you'll notice, it's just, I don't specify a specific file. What it's actually going to pull in is this index.js file. And then I initialize commander and pass it the package.json, the version property from my package.json. So it will go out and it'll grab this version, whatever it is, and spit that back. So when I type Matterfront -v into the command line, it'll give me back 1.0.2. Then this next block here, I'm pulling in commands from this lib commands, and for each one of these, I'm adding this commander.command and then passing in the value that I got back from the subcommands module. This is what I'm going to go through first, and this is what's going to lead into the whole what I want to change about commander. And then the last thing I do here is do commander.parse process.argv, which gives me my parses the command line input and lets commander do its thing. Okay, here at index, so this is the lib commands index.js. I'm just requiring in two modules that are core to Node, the FS or file system module and path. And the path module just has a bunch of properties on it that have to deal with file systems and directories inside of your host machine. So first thing that I do is I do this fs read dir sync and pass it the dir name global. And what that does is it looks within the folder that the dir name is in and reads the entire directory with the exception of any dot or dot files. And what I mean by that is if I were to lib commands, I have these three files. On some systems, you'll also see two more rows here where it'll just say dot, which represents the read, write, and permissions of the current directory. It would show right here. And there would also be a dot, which would show the properties inherit from the parent directory. So it'll return, in this case, it will return build.js, index.js, and info.js. The first thing I did here was I want to basically return just the list of command names that I want my program to have. So Matter or Commander is usually built so that I would have a bunch of other bin files here, and there would be Matterfront-info, Matterfront-build, Matterfront-deploy. These are all the commands that I want to have. And I wasn't getting that to run correctly. I think there's some issues with newer versions of Node where it doesn't run properly, but honestly, I really didn't feel like chasing it down too far because I got things to work in the way that I like, and that is doing exactly what we're talking about here, where I want to actually be able to pass in like a directory and have it parse that directory, and any file it finds in there, it'll make a command out of. The last thing that it does, so basically, I'm taking all those commands and mapping them into an array here, and then I'm taking the file name extension and popping it off the end of that array. So all this is returning in this instance would be this index build info. 3 strings. Every time I add a new file underneath this commands directory, it would return another one. The last thing I want to do, this commands property of the entire module, I want it to filter out commands that aren't, or files that aren't actually commands. And the index file is the only one right now that's not a command. And so I just use the filter to filter that array that's returned there, and it iteratively goes over every item in the array. This filter function passes in the command name, and then it returns a new array and iteratively puts new items in that array every time they pass this filter predicate, which is as long as the command name does not equal index, it'll put that command into the array. And that's what this module .commands method will export right now. So that's what we're using here. So commander.js has two ways of doing additional commands. So they both use this .command, and one is by passing in the name and the description, and the other one is just passing in the name. And in cases where you pass in just the name, it looks for everything locally within this one file. It looks for all the description and options and stuff like that. When you pass in a description, that's what tells Matter or commander.js in today's format. That's what tells it to look within the directory it's in for another file of the name. In our case, it would be Matterfront dash something. So this is what wasn't working, and what I am wanting to do is maintain that idea of having every file be its own command. But I assemble it in such a way in the main file that if you were to look at it in its compiled format prior to it being, or in its executed format prior to it being compiled, which isn't actually the way things work. Basically, if you could see what it put out, it would be the long form. And their examples will have what I'm referring to. Here we go. Or it would be program, and then all the options on the program, and then program.command, and program.command, and program.command. That's essentially what this file would look like if we could kind of expand it out. What I want to change about commander.js is it has this idea of subcommands, but they're all called command. So you have commands at the high level, which are your main command, and then you have options. And you could have commands that are subcommands, but you can't do three style subcommands. And those are popular. I want to be able to do something like this, where Git and npm and many other popular libraries do this, where I'd say Matterfront config set, and then op, and then value. Right now, all I could do is Matterfront config, and then everything would have to be, I have to do like set, and then op, and then whatever the value is. And I much prefer the more semantic wording. So I want to add a idea of subcommands to commander.js. And is what I'm hoping to start with first today. Okay. Oh, down the commander.js project. Git clone git at github.com :tj slash commander.js. You notice I'm using Windows this time. The last few times I've been using my Mac. It's not because my Mac has been crashing. If you follow two of my most recent videos, you'll notice it was crashing. That had to do with the driver. I actually have been tinkering with using Windows a little bit more, predominantly just to give Windows 10 a fair chance. And I also want to see, as a developer, I want to know what it's like for other developers who are working with each platform. So I occasionally will switch my operating systems. And I try to use like Windows for at least 2 to 3 weeks, about once every 4 months. Same thing with Linux. Or if I was actually using Windows or uh, Linux primarily, I try to do that with Mac, and that helps me just do a lot of um, figure out, just going through the setup for what my favorite tools are and everything on every machine every couple months helps to keep up to date on what's going on in the industry and how things work with different machines, and even how the tools you use might have concerns or new problems pop up in the different environments. Um, so that is why I'm using Windows. And with the addition of Baboon, which is this Unix shell that I'm using, that is time of things. So far, thumbs up for Windows 10. Okay. I can do like add project folder. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So first thing I want to do is npm install. Testing. Okay, I wasn't sure. My voice was coming through. And the next thing I want to do, I was going to run npm link, but I don't need to. See if there's a test command or anything like that. There is a make test. See if that works. npm test. Part of me is thinking I might have to do significant rebuilds. The engine that this was built for is larger than equal to 0.6.x, and it does mean that node 4, node 5 are compatible, but it's a little scary in that it's not at least 0.10 or 0.12. Um, and this library's been around for a long time. It's updated and maintained pretty well. Um, and it's a trusted contributor and author. So TJ is a very popular author in the Node space. So there's hopefully not a lot that I want to do to get what I want out of it, but I do want to do a few things. Let's just dig around. So this is the hacking part of being a programmer. So the main is index. Let's take a look at that. Emitter spawn, read link. And I think graceful read link might be the only non-native. Yep, okay. So here we have expose the root command, expose option. If arg matches the short or long name. So we're lucky here in that, and with really popular contributors, this is usually the case, but we're lucky here in that we have really good docs to go with every major section. A lot of libraries that get to be real popular, you're not always this lucky. So what I'm looking at right now is just um, a lot of these are pinging. Sorry, I got distracted. Okay, so he uses make to run the tests, which on one hand makes sense to me because it's a command line operation and we want it to be able to run. But on the other hand, it won't run if you don't have Node installed, and this is all built on Node. Um, what I think I might do is actually add a what I want to test right off the bat is I'm looking at the source code and I see the command. And I want to test this use case where I said you might use something like npm set config, where it's 3 straight words and then options and flags. And in his examples, say that in the coercion example, oh, not coercion, what was it? In this one, so you have program.command. If I use another .command here, would it actually allow me to have a subcommand? So I want to build a simple program that does that. I'm going to create a new folder in here, examples, and what do we want this to be? Eh, I'm feeling something I've been wanting to do for a while is make a little command line app for a set of LED lights. So I'll pretend like I have that working, and we'll call it um, examples. Up one more. We'll use the index. Don't need that. And we'll come down here and say program and we'll give it a big And then command. Program dot parse. Parse args. No, just parse. That's not argv. Do this and in the package.json, I am going to add a bin. Knock at my door. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. That and go back down here. Link. Eds dash H. What do I get? I get config, and I don't get list. So okay, let's see. Red config dash H. Let's config dash H. Config. Let's try to do something on this. Red config. Let's fig. Okay, this pull request is open. I've run across yards several times before. I think it actually uses commander. Or minimist, maybe. Or maybe minimist uses yards. Might switch to yards. I like this. Locale support. Nice. Okay, this one has a lot of tricks. It could be useful. It's a bit more complicated, which we're not building a CLI for others to build their own CLIs. We're building our own CLI. Um, so that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm trying to look at how we can get exactly what we want to get out of it. I'm gonna try check one thing here. Org commander npmjs.org/yards. How many downloads does each get each day? Eh, not the same. Well, relatively. Still like Commander, it's easier to reason about. Shut up, dude. Oh. Okay, so it looks like with Yargs via that reset thing, um, we could get as far as we want. And I like how these can be passed in as an object, which means we can describe declaratively our modules as a whole.